If you live in Australia and you're relatively young, you might feel like owning your own place, your very first home, is a pipe dream, unless you want to live far, far away. With property prices rising nationally, and auction clearance rates at all-time highs in major cities, and a trajectory to continue based on the RBA holding the cash rate where it is, we need a way to fight our way into the Australian property market. Bring in the First Home Super Saver Scheme, or FHSS. Now, when you hear the word super, one of two things happen. One is that you don't really care. It's not a problem until you're about 64 and want to retire. Then you panic that you're retiring with not enough money. Well, too little, too late. The second is that you panic because you know you shouldn't touch your super before you retire. I'm asking you to put those thoughts aside for a second, and I'll explain why there's no reason to panic at all. But first, let's break down the First Home Super Saver Scheme. What is it, and why does it exist? The FHSS is built so that you can access your super to help with the deposit to buy your first home. Currently, you can tap into $30,000 of your voluntary contributions, but that's set to rise to $50,000 according to this year's budget. But why is it any good? Well, the reason it's good is because when you contribute to super, those contributions are taxed at 15% instead of your normal tax rate. What this means is that you can contribute to your super to save for a home instead of saving in your bank, and you keep more of your hard-earned coin. Let's take an example. If I make $65,000 a year and salary sacrifice into super $15,000 a year, or $1,250 a month, instead of my usual marginal tax rate of 32.5%, I pay 15% on those contributions. This increases my savings for the year by $2,625. That's $2,500 more a year towards my house with absolutely no extra effort. Plus, it's locked into my super, so I'm not tempted to use it. It exists solely for the purpose to supply me with a deposit to buy my home in the future. But there are a few things to be aware of, and I'll address them now so you can have a complete, comprehensive understanding of First Home Super Saver Scheme and why it's only good for you. The main concern of touching your super is that it screws up your future. And you'd be right. The short answer is yes. If you took $10,000 out during the coronavirus crisis and spent it on booze and whatnot, yeah, big mistake. But the First Home Super Saver Scheme only lets you take out the extra contributions you put in. So you're left with the same super you would have had if you hadn't added any more money at all. AKA, if you were a normal person. So basically, if you'd never salary sacrificed, if you continued on your normal job trajectory with your normal 9.5% super contributions that your companies give you, you'd be in the exact same position. The First Home Super Saver Scheme only works off additional contributions you put in. So in summary, it's never a situation where you're worse off by doing this form of saving. Ever. But let's take an example to make it completely clear how much better it is to save for your first home deposit with the First Home Super Saver Scheme instead of a normal way. Let's compare a savings account to a normal super savings account over 3 years. First, let's start with a $65,000 a year salary. Over 3 years with the First Home Super Saver tactic, you have a total of $7,875 more dollars than if you didn't do it. Plus, you get to keep the investment returns your super fund makes as part of your deposit. If we're optimistic and say that your money makes 8% a year for 3 years, the market average return for being invested in the market, your contributions of $15,000 a year, taxed at 15%, would leave you with $12,750 a year. Compounded at 8% each year, that would amount to a total of $44,702. In contrast, if you try to do the same thing, save $15,000 a year in a bank account, pre-tax, then get taxed at 32.5% on that money, so you get $10,125 in your bank account, and let's say your bank pays a 2% interest rate, over the course of 3 years compounded, you would have $31,606. That means with the First Home Super Saver tactic, you have $13,098 more dollars for doing absolutely nothing. All you had to do was contribute to your super instead of saving it in a bank. While that might not solve the pricing of Australian houses and property, it certainly helps achieve a deposit faster and of a larger amount. So if you're looking to buy a home in the near to long future, it's definitely worthwhile to consider sacrificing into your super and taking advantage of the FHSS, the First Home Super Saver Scheme, to give yourself an edge and achieve your goals quicker and more effectively. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the video, please feel free to subscribe, leave a comment if you want to see me address any other topics that you might find interesting, and like the video. Thanks so much.